The person in front of us is the person who is seeking a solution, and that us in service to that individual, it is our job to ask questions that help us to truly understand what it is that they are wanting to accomplish on the back end, what their final goal is, and what the best path to get there is.
Well, hello there, prosperity seeker, and welcome to another episode of the Prosperity Approach. I'm your host, Allyson Chavez, and as always, I'm so humbled and so grateful that you are choosing to spend your time with me today, just for a few minutes. It means the absolute world to me, especially because there are so many things you can be choosing from. And I am always wanting to bring on really dynamic speakers and have really awesome topics. And today is no exception to that. And we are going to talk about relationships and sales and why do we buy and why are people so icky in sales most of the time and why we don't need to be. Now, this is my birthday week. And so I have a super exciting announcement. I want to do a flash sale and I want to sell my signature program. It's called Locking in Belief Systems, or LIBS for short. When we talk about feminine energy, we talk about relationships, we talk about our higher selves, we talk about connecting with God. But if we run programs in our subconscious that we're unworthy, that we're undeserving, that we're not enough, no matter the outer work we do, it will never compensate for those beliefs that we're running, because our beliefs create our reality. And normally this course I sells for several $1,000s, but because it's my birthday and I'm going to be 47 this week, we got to go with the number 4 and the number 7, and it's going to be only 3 digits. So if you are wanting to change your subconscious beliefs, and all of us have subconscious beliefs we're running that aren't working for us, then pick this up. You're going to go to prosperityapproach.com/libs, LIBS, or click on the link in your show notes, and you can pick that up for a fraction of the investment that you'll normally make. Let's get those beliefs running, the programs that you actually want to experience in your reality to have a killer rest of your 2023 and beyond. So there is my special announcement, but I have an even more exciting special guest on today, and I absolutely love her. I had the privilege to be on a summit that she hosted last year, and I was like, I want my audience to know you. So let me tell you just a little bit about Tabitha Benway. Tabitha has served in relational sales for the last 13 years, studying how people think, what's important to them, what makes them buy, and how to serve them at the highest level. She brings this wisdom to her work, teaching how to create content and communication that causes the right people to buy. Tabitha is a wife, mom, and entrepreneur who believes that when we are all bringing our gifts and serving in the way we were intended to, there is no competition, only infinite abundance for all. Tabitha, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Allyson. It is so fun to be with you again. And happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm very excited. And I'm so happy that you're on because of all of the experiences that we have had in sales on both sides of the equation, right? As a person who is doing the sale and the person who is like experiencing the sale. We've experienced slimy sales tactics where we've been on the receiving end of that, and maybe some slimy sales tactics that we have done ourselves. I mean, I'm just going to speak for myself. When I didn't understand sales and I was in desperation energy, people probably didn't have a really good experience with me because I was in competition mode instead of like really serving. I was in that gimme, get me, instead of like, does this make sense for you? Like, is this a good match? And so I love what you're about. So the first thing I want to talk about, I love your whole idea of infinite abundance for all. I think that is so beautiful. So how does infinite abundance inspire your work?
So I am really clear about the way that God works, the way that our world works, and we can see it in everything. Right? The way that everything works synergistically together. And I use the very simple analogy if you're standing by a fruit tree, which we have a lot of fruit trees on our land. And so sometimes I'll just go out there and watch, and the birds come and eat and the squirrels come and eat, and they're fed by this very easy thing that the tree is doing. And then as they give nutrients back to the soil is fed. It's the same thing that when we breathe, right? And so it's in everything. in that we surround ourselves with. And a lot of times as humans, we come out thinking, oh, it's just me. I got to protect me and I've got to do my thing. And so there's this energy of pulling in. But what we miss is that it is through showing up and allowing ourselves to pour into others, the gift that we are, the thing that seems so easy that it's like, why would somebody pay me to do this? Is because it's your natural gift that you're meant to be in the world. And then we allow ourselves to receive, whether it is through someone paying us for those services or whether it's through receiving their gift. It's just the exponential possibility that is available to us as humans is beyond something that we could even imagine. And so it just gets me super, super excited because it means there's never competition. There's never there's only more and more and more and more.
Isn't that beautiful? I mean, if people really, really understood that competition does not have to be a thing, especially in sales, you're not stealing my client or stealing my prospect or any of that. Like we could all just take this great big sigh of relief and finally be authentic with each other. Don't you think?
Yes, and enjoy each other and have fun together and side by side, go all the way together.
Yes. So tell me, like, how do people think, and what does that have to do with relational sales? So tell us a little bit about that, if you will.
Yeah, so I'm going to come back to what you said at the beginning of the show, which is our subconscious. We get we get these beliefs from childhood, and I am pretty sure mine came along when my little sister came along. She's a year and a half younger than me, and I was the daughter, I was the little girl, and then she comes along, and I noticed as I was doing subconscious work myself. I love that you do that. When I was doing it for me, I don't do it for others. I was doing it for me. I realized I had a belief that it was her or me. So I would find myself shrinking to create space for others, or I'd find myself oh, it's my turn. Let me take up space in a time where it really is more powerful standing together. I'm realizing that I'm not sure I'm fully answering the question that you asked me, but that was what came to mind it's the subconscious. It starts there, the competitive nature. And it is important that we heal that. But once we do heal that and we're really working together and synergistically, then it's partnership.
Yes.
It's always partnership.
Yes. And I actually think this is really appropriate to our question, because I would imagine that with your younger sister coming at your heels so quickly after you were born, I would imagine there was some natural competition there with she's shining brighter than me, or I need to shine brighter than her, or who am I? Like it just fostered this probably unhealthy. I know it's unhealthy when we're competing with our siblings for love and attention and all of those things. And of course, it's going to seep into every other area of your life where it just becomes win-lose rather than this win-win situation for everybody.
And I love that you mentioned too how it shows up in sales, even when, someone may have a genuine desire to serve. There may still be some of that energy that comes into the space because we have it built in at a subconscious level from a very young age. And even when we do the work, even when we're diving in and healing that, there's still some times where that will come into the space. And it's like, check our mind. What am I here for? I'm here to serve the person in front of me.
Absolutely. And I found with me, because I always did, I always wanted to show up to serve, but because I ran programs that in my mind that I wasn't enough or I didn't actually make a difference, I would try to overcompensate for that. So instead of serving somebody, I would just give away coaching for free, or I would get into I would try to anticipate what they might object to so that I could be really quick on the draw to answer the objection. And so it actually pulled me out of the conversation, and it pulled me out of being present and being authentic and being like, does this make sense for us to work together? And is this a good fit for both of us to work together? Because I would get into performance mode, and then it would be like, well, why didn't they pick me? That competition. Yeah. Right? That competition. Yes. It was then that was from my own childhood as well, that I wasn't picked. And so I had to overcompensate so that somebody would pick me. I mean, we just put ourselves in just the most amazing spirals sometimes with these darn subconscious beliefs.
It's so true. And I think the one that you mentioned is a big one for coaches where they feel like they have to give their services. Again, it's that person or me. So I'm just going to be the giver. So that's the other side of it, right? Is I'm just going to be the giver and I'll give it all away instead of knowing that we can both win here. This person can receive the service that they truly are looking for. And you as the coach, whoever is the coach, it can receive the value as well that everybody gets to win.
Yes. Yes. And everybody gets to stretch and everybody gets to grow. And it really just becomes a really, like you said, a really synergistic, beautiful experience for everybody. So let's break down what relational sales is and why is it important. I think that will be really helpful for the audience to let's just unpack all of this. And what are we talking about?
Yeah. So when I say relational sales, I'm speaking specifically into the relationship, that the relationship is priority number one, that the person in front of us is the person who is seeking a solution, and that us in service to that individual, it is our job to ask questions that help us to truly understand what it is that they are wanting to accomplish on the back end, what their final goal is, and what the best path to get there is. And if it's not us, that we support them and actually move them towards that direction either way. But that no matter what, the relationship at the end is the priority and is what stays intact.
Oh, that's 100% feminine right there. That's the feminine way to do sales. And what we've been taught is a masculine transactional way of doing sales. And it's push and it's fear and it's scarcity and and that's why I think, especially as women, we really, really shy back either from being sold to or even moving into sales, because it just feels so disingenuous to us as women who really are heart-centered. And my whole audience is heart-centered. So we do want to give, we do want to serve. And that relationship is important, and it absolutely belongs to sales. I 100% agree with you that it is about that relationship. And it is so important at the end of the day. At the end of the day, you want somebody, whether they work with you or not, you can still give great value to somebody in a conversation. If they choose not to move forward with you, you've pointed out some gaps that they probably didn't know they had. And now, if it's not aligned that you work together, they can figure out a different way to close those gaps without you having to coach them through how to close the gaps. It's just, you can still give a tremendous amount of value, whether or not they sign up with you.
It is all about the value.
So here's my question. How did you work through kind of like that, the mind garbage of being attached to whether somebody signed up with you or not, or bought what you were offering? Because I know I've had to go through a whole process with that, where I say I'm detached, but then I'm not actually detached. So did you ever experience oh my gosh, I really am attached to whether this person gets on board or not?
Well, the thing that helped me in the beginning is when I first started in sales, before I was even a coach and supporting in that space, I had the blessing of the owner of the company that I was working for at the time when I was considering moving into the position. I said, I'm not a salesperson. I'm happy to support, but I'm not a salesperson. He said, all you're doing is helping people buy what they want. And it opened up a space for me where it was just really clear that I was helping people. Now, like you said, there's still those thoughts that come in, right? There's thoughts of this is what I'm here to do, and I'm working commission, and I've done all this work, and now I'm right here with this person, and they're saying yes. I can feel them saying yes, and so my mind chatter would be like, oh, want to check a box, right? Check a box. I'm completing this sale, and I would notice that every time my mind went there, I would get energetically pulled out of it. Exactly what you're talking about. And what would happen is there would be that disconnect, and then it wouldn't actually happen. They wouldn't actually complete the purchase. And so it dawned on me, I am leaving the moment that is so important to me of service for these people. And the result that I'm getting isn't serving either one of us. So when I would find my mind going there, I would say, nope, come back. It was just really retraining my mind to remember that that's the most important thing. That's the most important piece. And the other piece is sometimes, especially if it's been a while, you've really served and served. I've really served and haven't completed a sale. There is that, I don't know, tendency to, I guess, to go in to make wrong, like in making myself wrong. But I look at, okay, what am I not doing? How can I serve at a deeper level, and not in a way that's just give, or over giving, but how do I understand these people that I'm serving deeper? How do I ask them better questions so I truly understand them and they feel heard and seen and understood? Because one of the things that I hear in our world a lot is people buy from who they know, like, and trust.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see people showing up and trying to express themselves so that people know, like, and trust them. But people know, like, and trust the people who see, hear, and understand them. And so I know that is my job always to see, hear, and understand them better. And if something's missing, it's that's missing.
I love that. I love that because that allows you to be even more authentic. And it allows you to be even more present in the conversation. So it's not about the right lipstick. It's not about the right background or like the woo. And here's a deal that you can't say no to. It's not any of that. And it's not performance energy either. They will know, like, and trust you, like you said, when you will see and hear and understand them. And then, oh, that absolutely changes everything. Because that was my big problem, was performance energy. And how can I fix this? And don't screw it up. Like my mind would say that before I would get on a call, don't blow this. So you want to talk about pressure that I was creating on myself, which didn't allow me to really, really authentically connect with that person and deeply connect with them and really see them. So that is so beautiful. I needed to hear that today. So thank you. So, and here's my question. What does it take for entrepreneurs to be able to actually create those relationships that cause people to buy? Because we can't just be going out to lunch with every prospective client that we have. We'll never get anything done, as much as you love lunch. And that's my favorite thing, lunch with the girlfriends. But like, how do we create those relationships as entrepreneurs?
So if we're looking more on a broader scale and we're looking at content and how we're creating content that serves, the best thing that we can do is reverse engineer what we do from the result that they get to where they are in the challenge that they're in. And that way, when we really deeply understand, again, know and understand them, and we're speaking from that space, then they can hear us. They truly can hear that we are here to make a difference for them.
I agree.
So what I say is take people down the buying path, reverse engineer what you do, and then take them down the buying path.
Take them down I love that. I love that. Like, where are they in their journey? And one of the things that it requires you to do, I really think with relational sales, it requires you to get vulnerable. That was one of the big beefs I had as I had started my own personal growth journey, and even like building my business, is that I would work with these business mentors and even personal development mentors that were so much farther ahead than me that I really didn't think that they could relate to me at all, because they would never tell me about hard times. They would never tell me about the time when they pitched something and nobody bought, and how devastated they felt and what they did to bounce back from that. In fact, I worked with a mentor for a couple of years, and it wasn't until almost year 2 when she shared a story like that, I remember thinking, thank you for being human. Because I've been sitting here for a year and a half, almost 2 years, thinking, what is wrong with me? Why can't I do this the way she does it? But she wasn't being vulnerable with us. And I think that is absolutely vulnerability. I really think is a superpower, and you need to know your audience. So you're not just gonna, I heard from somebody, you teach from the scar, not from the wound. So if you're, if you still got a fresh raw wound, you're probably not going to create content around that yet. You gotta heal that. You got to get further down your journey on that.
And if we teach from the wound, we have no value to bring, because it hasn't healed, and we don't truly understand how to support people and bring them value. But when we teach from the scar and we share that moment, that hurt, and the healing and the solution, we're bringing value.
Yes. And then it's like, I get so many people that are like, how do you climb into my head? How do you climb into my head and pull my thoughts out of my head? And how are you right in my heart? And I'm like, I'm just sharing with you my own experience and what I was telling myself. And I figure I'm not that much different from anybody else. I think if I've had this thought, somebody else has had this same thought. We just wear this mask all the time because we want people to think there's nothing wrong. And then we just assume that we're the only one that's a hot mess. And we're all kind of messy.
We're all messy.
we all get to do this. We all get to do this together. So I'm really intrigued about creating content and communication that causes the right people to buy. Tell me about that. What's your philosophy around that? You don't just want everybody to buy your stuff?
So this is one of the analogies that I give in the training that I do. If someone, as an example, teaches in the area of fitness, and they are very specific about who they serve, they teach somebody who is yo-yo dieted to have a lifestyle that just keeps them lean and it's super easy. If they are speaking in terms that don't land within that range, maybe there's somebody who's, maybe they're talking about weight loss, right? Well, that yo-yo dieter has lost weight 10 times. They or however many they have, right? They know how to lose weight, especially in their own mind. They know how to lose weight. They've done it and they have their system. I'm not going to name any fad diets because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but say they have this specific diet and they always go back to it. They know that they can go back to it and lose weight. So landing our language in a way that doesn't serve our ideal person, one, it leaves them hanging. So it doesn't pull the actual person that we can make the biggest difference for. And it's probably going to pull somebody that we can't even create the best results for with our solution. Maybe it's somebody who doesn't have that internal drive yet, hasn't lost the weight 10 times. They haven't, maybe they are just now getting into the idea of, oh, I want to lose some weight, but they're not ready for the tools that we have. So they might get pulled into our space and we don't create amazing results for them because it's not our ideal person. So it's so important that we're really specific about our languaging so that the right person can hear that we are exactly what they've been looking for.
Yes. And it's that they want what we have to offer. That was so pivotal for me to get really dialed in on who I wanted to work with and who I didn't want to work with. It was simply because it's like, well, everybody needs what I have to offer, with the weight loss example, like everybody knows they need to lose weight, but it isn't until you really, really want to that you do anything about it. And so I stopped trying to communicate with people who needed me. I only wanted to communicate with people who wanted what I had to offer. And that took so much pressure. That took so much pressure off of me because if people didn't want to work with me, I didn't want to work with them either. Not because it's like, well, screw you. It was just like, this isn't going to be good for either of us. Neither of us are going to have a good time together if you don't want to work with me or if you don't want what I have to offer. And so it's okay. Like we can just bless and release with really great, with gratitude and be like, okay, like we're not a great fit. And it's dialed in even more to me lately because I talk about feminine energy and balancing the feminine and the masculine. And there are so many women, well, most women only know how to be masculine. And so they find a lot of value in their masculinity and not in their femininity because they haven't experienced the power of that. And so I've actually gotten much more straightforward in my language because I want to pull the people that I want to work with to me and actually repel those that aren't a good fit. Because to your point, like neither of us would be blessed in that situation. And so there have been women that are like, nope, I like my masculinity. It serves me. We know who's the boss. I am the boss. And I'm like, that's actually awesome. That means this is working because you wouldn't get the results that I would want to have for you. Like, and so it still is a win-win for everybody and not like well, you don't appreciate me because you need me, but then you don't want me. I don't want to work with somebody who doesn't want me or want what I have to offer. So, it's so fun. It's so fun. So I love that you said you're helping people buy what they want. Buy what they want. Anyway, what that business owner said to you. You're just helping people buy what they want. anyway,
Yes.
and helping them over those hurdles. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So Tabitha, tell me, like, what is, and you might have to think on this for just a second, but like, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned, or the greatest value that you've seen in, like, not only doing relational sales yourself, but also teaching it to others?
Greatest lesson. Oh my goodness, there's so many. The greatest lesson for me, I think, is probably exactly what you said, that, it's not perfect. I'm constantly growing. I'm constantly looking at how can I ask a better question. I remember the first year when I was really learning sales, I was like, there's a better question. I know there's a better question. And the better questions we ask, the better answers we get, the better we get to know people. So really allowing myself to be a beginner, like you said, like letting ourselves be imperfect, because we're not. And I know that I am quick to put a mask on. Like,
Yeah,
when you're a
we
little
kind of all
girl
are.
and everybody's like brushing your hair and stand up straight,
Right.
like it's ingrained. So just letting myself be human and receive the feedback, right? Like crickets. Crickets mean that I didn't land. It means nothing about me. It means that didn't land for anybody. Okay, back to the drawing board. Where do I get to go? Where do I get to ask a better question and understand people, the people that I get to serve at a level that can make the biggest difference?
Oh, I love that. I love that. I remember somebody telling me that sales is service.
Mhm.
And when you are doing relational sales, that is the greatest service that you can give someone, whether or not they purchase your product or your services, because you see them and you hear them and you understand them in that small moment of interaction that you have with them. And it's just, yeah, we don't have to. We want to ask great questions. We want to skill up. Sales is definitely a skill, but it can be so much fun when you're just like, hey, I'm just connecting with another human. Let's see if there's some gaps that I can help you close. And if not, that's okay too. Like, it's just there. It's so fun. Tabitha, this has been such a fantastic conversation. I know people are going to want to know more about you, where they can find you. I know you have a super cool offering that you want to give to everybody today. So tell us all the things, Tabitha.
Yeah, so the gift that I have for everyone is the 3 most common mistakes that entrepreneurs make that cause their ideal buyer to be confused and not buy. It is something that I see everywhere, and thought I'm definitely going to serve people with just cleaning up this space so that they can make some little shifts that will just land their communication with the people that they are meant to serve here in the world. As far as connecting with me, you can either join me on the Create Content That Creates Clients Challenge. That is a Facebook group where I actually support people going into depth with honing in their content so that it lands. So your sales conversation, like you said, Allyson, doesn't have to always be the one-to-one. It can be the communication that lands for the people that it's meant to land for. So that's where I'd recommend connecting with me and allowing me to support further if that would support you,
I
whomever is
love it.
listening.
Beautiful. And all of those links are in the show notes. So make sure that you go find those. Get into that Facebook group that Tabitha has. Grab her gift that she has for you. And then make sure that you pick up libs as well, because you combine those things. If you find that you have a limiting belief around money or a false belief around your ability to be really great at sales, those two are a lethal combination. And watch yourself, watch your sales, and watch your confidence just skyrocket. So thank you all again for listening. Those of you who watched this episode, thanks for watching and tuning in. Tabitha, again, thank you so much for being here. This has been such a fantastic conversation. And until next time, remember, prosperity becomes you.